Allow me to extend a warm welcome to all the viewers on the internet and around the world. It is sunrise on YouTube, morning on Facebook, noon on Twitter, midday on Threads, afternoon on Twitch, sunset on Instagram, and evening on Rumble. I am your host, the Ancient One, the Bachelor Supreme, the Phantom Menace, he who remains, and the master of the deceptive arts. We are broadcasting live directly from the sanctum of solitude and the citadel at the end of time. Good evening, everyone. I am the Ancient One, the Bachelor Supreme, the Phantom Menace, he who remains, and the master of the deceptive arts. And today I wanted us to revisit an issue of great importance, and it's something that keeps coming up every ever so often, and I think it will for a very long time, and that's the issue of pay for play. And I wanted us to discuss this in a very serious way. I want to make my position clear from the start, right? And before I start to philosophize endlessly and theorize endlessly, and the position that I want to take is, quite frankly, that pay for play is illegal, right? Prostitution is illegal. Solicitation is illegal. This is illegal in maybe 98% of the countries around the world, right? This is illegal almost everywhere, in every city, every town, every state, province, and country, right? You are breaking the law. When you engage in pay for play, you are breaking the law. And that is the bottom line. Anything else other than this is incorrect. It is the wrong philosophy. It is the wrong strategy. It is the wrong course of action. And it is a very, very bad idea for the simple reason that it is illegal. You are breaking the law. And the sad part of this is that you already know this. Not only do you know that I'm right, you know that you are wrong. You knew that you were wrong before I even said it. You knew that you were wrong while you were engaging in pay for play. And quite frankly, you knew it was wrong before you even started. Everyone has told you that pay for play is wrong, right? There are moral reasons, and I could care less about the moral reasons. The law is very clear and very distinct in this issue, right? And I don't want us to be ambiguous about this issue. If you engage in pay for play, you are breaking the law and you're going to go to jail. Just understand that, right? If you look at the image on the screen, the gentleman who is very well known for various reasons, right? He's in prison right now for 30 years. And this is really what we're going to be looking at today. We're going to be looking at what is the punishment and the consequences, the true consequences of pay for play. And quite frankly, the longer you do it for, the worse the punishment is. This is true for play for play. The longer you do it for, the worse the punishment is. And you can get up to 30 years for this. You can get up to 30 years for this. This is more than murder, quite frankly. Capital One, right? With intent. You could get 25 years for that, right? And for these types of atrocities, they will give you 30 years solid, right? And they won't let you go. They really won't let you go. You're breaking the law, and you're breaking a very serious law. And something you have to know about this law is that it's not going to change. The culture might change, the philosophy behind it might change, even the statistics will change. The law on this is never going to change. Listen to me, I'm telling you the truth. People who are putting their faith in that one day the law will change and wash away all your previous transgressions, you are completely out of your mind. You are out of your mind. And I'm telling you the truth, and you know it. And you know I'm right. Now, I always quote the grandmaster of the deceptive arts, Sun Tzu himself, in matters of strategy and even in the romance wars, especially the romance wars. But I always defer to him the most with the most serious issues of life. And imprisonment, I would say, is probably one of the top 2 or 3 most serious issues that you're going to face in life. The first thing that's going to ruin your life is being a dad, because now you're in it till the day you die. Marriage is up there of things that will destroy your life. But then you have things like a terminal disease, war, and then prison, right? And to me, prison is probably in the top 3. It would be fatherhood, marriage, and then prison, because you could go to war for a year or 2 and be fine, right? But prison, you're in it, right? And what the grandmaster, what Sun Tzu says, he describes that the law is the first of the 5 constant factors of engagement they are constant. In other words, they are never changing in engagement. Whatever engagement, whatever human interaction that we do, we must ensure that the law is on our side. And when you participate in play for play, the law is definitely not on your side. You are on the wrong side. The bachelor life is all about preserving yourself, right? It's all about keeping yourself safe on the right side of things. Pay for play is not the way to do it. I don't care what anyone says. I don't care what the benefits are. I don't care if it's economical or efficient. It is illegal. Nothing that is illegal can be economic or efficient. When you measure what you get against the potential consequences, the devastating consequences of pay for play, no, the law is not with you. The law is not with you. We must always ensure that the law is not on our side. But not only that, from a strategic point of view, we must maintain the legal advantage. And we do this not just by staying on the right side of the law, but also by upholding it. You see, by me coming out here and telling you what you already know, that pay for play is illegal, I have automatically made myself the authority in this situation. Just by stating the obvious. I am now the authority. I now control the set of circumstances. And for all of you that have engaged in pay for play, I now hold your fate in my hands. One simple phone call from me, and all they need is a text message to corroborate this. But one simple phone call from me, I can wipe you off the face of the earth, because you did not maintain the legal advantage. You did not maintain a legal advantage. In fact, you squandered that legal advantage, and you did it for absolutely nothing. Because whatever you gained in that pay for play, whatever you gained in that moment of play for play, you lost a tremendous legal advantage. I mean, a tremendous legal advantage. And you lost it for life. You lost it for life. Fortunately, implementing and executing the law in itself, right, the orders and the functions of the law in itself has to be left to law enforcement, right, and those that are selected officials, right? So my powers of execution are quite frankly limited, but they are not extinct. Knowing that you've done this crime has given me too much power. This man that you see on the screen, he was indeed was one of the richest, most famous, most successful men in the history of the world. He was possibly going to be known as maybe one of the greatest musicians. One of the greatest musicians. He was wiped out by people whose names you don't even know. You don't even remember those people. If you saw them, all of them, if you saw all of them in one room together, you wouldn't know if those were the people who had accused him and brought him down or not. Even if all of them were there, you wouldn't even know who they were. This man had everything. He had the best legal defense in the world. Now ask yourself, do you think that you can have a legal defense that is equal to this man? And I'm telling you, you don't. And he got 30 years. He lost big in this one. He lost every single thing. He lost every single thing. And every time he appeals, they keep upholding the appeal because the evidence is staggering. There's no evidence that comes out in his support. They've looked at everything that is in his support and there's nothing there. But the evidence against him is just a mountain of it. And just think that what he got and what he sacrificed. Just ask yourself, what did he get and what did he sacrifice? Because I'm certain he lost a lot. He really lost a lot. So you really have to understand the position that you're putting yourself in, right? So fortunately, because we don't implement and execute the functions of the law, it also means for us that preventing or stopping someone, right, or even apprehending someone who is breaking the law, especially if violence is involved, is also a chargeable offense, right? So that's also illegal. But while I cannot prevent you from breaking the law, I can report you at any time of my choosing for breaking the law, right? And induce an investigation or at least an inquiry from legal experts, right? We can begin at least some type of inquiry. I mean, do you know how devastating that would be on you? If you are out there doing this. It's one thing, even if you're not married, even if you're a bachelor, you get found doing this, it's a problem, right? But now, the people who participate in this, right? They don't know how to keep their mouth shut. I'm just going to say it bluntly, right? The people who are participating in play for play, you yourself are the problem because you don't know how to keep your mouth shut. You tell everyone about what you are doing, how you're doing it. You got the prices, you got the phone calls, you got the text messages, you got the DMs. And then you build an entire platform recording your crimes, cataloging your experiences, and inducing others to do the same. Remember that inducing or persuading someone to break the law is also illegal. So not only can you not stop them from breaking the law, so if they're breaking the law, you just gotta watch them condemn themselves. But simultaneously, you cannot induce or persuade someone to break the law because that's illegal. And this is the trouble right here that we have with the conversation about pay for play. Because the only position that you can take on play for play is the one that I'm taking now, which is it's illegal. I don't care if you've done it or not, or how your society views it. It's illegal. And you cannot take another position other than that it is illegal. Because then you open yourself up to legal scrutiny. At the very least, scrutiny. You make people ask questions. You talk too much. And here I am talking too much. But I'm aware enough that I need to take a position that is legally sound, that I can stand on. And there is no way that you can stand on pay for play. Under no circumstances can you say, well, pay for play is valid. You're going to jail. You are going to jail. This is reckless. This is recklessness in the highest order. You have provided them everything that they could ever need to put you away for the rest of your life, not to mention the endless list of witnesses. Remember, they don't need your phone. They don't need your devices. They don't even need your platform to build a case that can stand the scrutiny of a judge. For the judge to say, okay, go ahead, investigate this this person further. They don't need all that. What they can get everything that they need, they can get it from one counterpart. They can get it from one counterpart. They get one counterpart to open up that phone like she has done 1,000,000 times and scroll through those messages like she's done 1,000,000 times and screenshot one of those messages like she's done 1,000,000 times, and there you go. Any message, right? You could be sending an emoji. You want to go to jail over an emoji? Seriously, you're going to send a plain emoji? You're going to send, what? I don't know what kind of emojis they have, these people. An upside down smiley face emoji? I can't even believe I put that string of words together. You want to go to jail for this? This is careless. This is careless. This is why I don't follow anybody's philosophy. I follow one that only works for me, my own. One that has been tested through many, many, many different philosophies over thousands and thousands of years. And I've said this is the one. Because right at the beginning it says the law. The first thing you have to think about is the law. And I said, okay, I'm in. I said I was in. Right? Because it represents the right side of things. But not this play for play. Not this play for play. Just think of what you've done. Right? Just think of what you've done. One counterpart. And you have endless counterparts. I mean, for some men, there are 50, hundreds of these women. Just waiting for their moment. And their moment will come. There's too many of them for the moment not to come, right? It's just think about it. Just think about it. And every interaction, right? Every interaction is recorded. Every interaction is recorded. The Uber, what she says to you, what you say to her, what you don't say to her, what you send, what you didn't send. And look at the gentleman on the screen. He's now serving 30 years for his crimes and injustices. And he's going to be there for the rest of his life. This is what he's coming to realize. This is what all of us need to accept, that he's going to be there for the rest of his life. And when he comes out, he's not going to live much longer than that. Right? So even if he survives this 30 years, when he comes out, he's really not going to have many years to go. Right? And just like him, his crimes dated decades, right? So remember this for yourself. Even if you stop now, you can't undo what you've already done. It's just a matter of time now. Just think about the situation you've put yourself in. You cannot undo what you've already done. You cannot unsend those messages. Maybe you can delete them, but I'm sure they can find them on some hard drive somewhere. I mean, these companies, these online companies are data companies. They collect and data and keep every little bit of data, so that they can compare it to future data and trends, right? So this is how they see where trends are going and where people's minds are, based on the type of interaction that is popular. And they get that information by comparing it with previous interactions. And then that's how they can predict future actions, right? That comparison, that change is a predictor. It's a catalyst for prediction. It's going to indicate that difference. Whether the number goes up or down is going to indicate what future trends will be. Right? So whatever you've done, it's there. Right? And if you think that they won't come for you, I want you to know that you're wrong. I want you to know very honestly that you're wrong. If you've engaged in any type of illegal activity, they're going to come for you and they're going to get you. Right? You broke the law for years and then induced other people to do the same, and then went overseas and broke the law again, which quite frankly is possibly the biggest mistake of all. There is this passport bro movement is a problem. Guys, you cannot travel to other countries for the purposes of prostitution. Now, I'm really trying not to use that word, but I have to be explicit, because you have to know what we're talking about. Because if I use euphemism, you might think I'm talking about other things. I'm talking about that you are breaking the law in a country, quite frankly, where you don't speak the language or you don't understand the culture. Just think about the realistic consequences of being accused. Whether you did it or not is irrelevant. Just being accused of violent, intimate assault without consent in a country where you don't even speak the language. Are you insane? Are you out of your mind? This cannot be the course of action that you have chosen for yourself. Completely out of the question. If you are going to another country for intimacy, I'm going to tell you to stop. I'm here to tell you you're better off just saving your money and going to your nearest restaurant and buying yourself something nice to eat and just going straight home. There's no reason for you to fly to another country just so you could be stuck in a jail where you don't even speak the language. You'll be the only person that speaks your language in the entire prison. Surrounded by criminals. This is the truth. This is the truth. Go, travel, get your content, go home, make your memories. That's all you can hope for. But if you go there for the sake of intimacy, you'll be arrested. You are going to go to to jail, and you know I'm right. This is the consequence for this type of action. And you've gone too far. I'm here to tell you, if you are a pay-for-play practitioner, if you are a pay-for-play seller or a buyer, you have gone too far. And I suggest that whether you've engaged in it, whether you've sold, whether you've bought, whether you plan to engage, right, in pay-for-play, transactional relations, transactional interactions, whatever you call it, or even these things that are in what they call legally gray areas for intimacy, I'm going to suggest that you stop. I'm going to suggest that you stop right now. For one simple reason. You're breaking the law. You're breaking the law. You know you are. Do you really need another reason? Do you really need another reason for you to stop? You are breaking the law, and they are going to catch you. Now, you might think you got away with it, and maybe you have. But if you do it again, they're going to catch you. And eventually, there's a pattern there that builds. And that pattern is going to indicate a pattern of criminality. You become a habitual offender. That just indicates intention all the way through. I'm going to suggest that you stop before you face the consequences that are going to be unveiled and discussed in today's excerpt and the passages that we're going to read today. Effectively, what it's going to do is demonstrate to you what the consequences of your actions are. That's really what it is. It's just reading through legal documents and legal expression that are going to express to you in full measure the consequences of breaking this. It tells you very clearly, as we're going to read it, what prostitution is, what pay-for-play is, and the fact that it is illegal. It makes that very clear, and then I want us to absorb and meditate what are the punishments and the consequences, and then we need to weigh out those punishments and consequences against any of the so-called advantages of breaking the law. Because I think there's never an advantage in breaking the law. You want to induce them to break the law. Well, maybe not induce, but don't stop them from breaking the law. You don't want to break the law yourself. What's the advantage in that? All you've done is given everybody who hates you more ammunition to harm you. And all they need is one message from one counterpart. And that's it. That is it. First thing they'll do is freeze your passport. Right? The first thing they'll do is freeze your passport. And then go for your accounts. I have to be honest. I don't understand why somebody would think that pay for play is a viable solution for dating. Breaking the law is forbidden in the bachelor life. It has to be. It has to be. Right? Not for moral reasons, but to preserve yourself. Self-preservation. Right? Self-perseverance is what we're talking about here. And pay for play is not the answer, and it never will be. It is illegal. No matter how you look at it, you're breaking the law. You might as well be selling illicit substances, because actually the consequences of selling illicit substances are actually less than this, and we're going to see that in today's article. So the next slide, and I hope it comes off very clearly. It says here, prostitution laws. This is from www.justia.com. It was last reviewed. It said July 2025. It didn't specify which date in July, and I actually searched, and it also didn't have an author. It reads, The oldest profession has achieved a degree of acceptance in some circles, not in this circle. But prostitution remains a crime almost everywhere in the United States. I'm going to say that again. Prostitution remains a crime almost everywhere in the United States. Nevada permits activity in licensed brothels. Now, you're not getting that license, right? You're not getting that license, so forget about that. It continues. It tends to be less serious than some intimacy offenses, but a conviction still may result in jail time and a criminal record. It will result in jail time and a criminal record. Like I said, the longer you do it, the worse it becomes, right? This can cause problems down the road in areas such as getting a job or finding housing. Now you can't get a job and you got no place to live. Just think about this. Just think about what I'm telling you. First, you know it's a crime. And then here we're just talking about the consequences of breaking this particular law. You cannot get a job should you break this law. You may not be able to find a place to live, right? If you think that you may be suspected of prostitution or play for play or a related crime, you should talk to the police or prosecutors. Sorry, you should not talk to the police or prosecutors on your own. Instead, you should get a lawyer on your side as soon as possible. Now, listen to that sound advice. Now, you need to be getting a lawyer to deal with your pay for play issue. Seriously, if you've engaged in play for play and are concerned, and which you should be concerned, you need to get a lawyer. You need to speak to a lawyer and you need to pay that lawyer and you need to be honest about what's happened and find a way forward. I think probably he may recommend some type of NDA. But if you get someone to sign an NDA, you're going to have to pay them handsomely, right? Which means like they can't say anything and they can't prosecute you. But even that's going to, make people suspicious, if I have to be honest with you, right? But get a lawyer. Get a lawyer. So it says here, what is play for play? And at its core, play for play involves engaging in intimacy activity for a fee. Pay for play. Customers of pay for play and certain people who get involved with pay for play may face related charges. So, buying, selling, trading, and inducing other people to buy, sell, or trade. It says here elements of pay for play. States usually prohibit performing a intimate act in exchange for money or something else of value. Money or something else of value. You see the problem right there? Trips, dates, all of that, gifts, right? All of that. Not in if it's somebody that you're not in a relationship with, in a commitment with, in a marriage with, and you do these things, you get them things of value, you pay their rent, you pay their bills, that's a problem. That is a problem. As well as offering or agreeing to engage in this type of transaction. So, let me read that full statement again. States usually prohibit performing an intimate act in exchange for money or something else of value, as well as offering or agreeing to engage in this type of transaction. So, if you offer someone and they agree, both of you are in it. You cannot offer and you cannot agree. You just can't do it. It's illegal. It is illegal and you're going to jail. It says, for example, Massachusetts prohibits engaging, agreeing to engage or offering to engage in intimate conduct with another person for a fee. California prohibits soliciting or engaging or agreeing to engage in a lewd act with the intention to receive anything of value from another person. Under some laws, such as the California statute, a charge like agreeing to engage in pay for play requires proof of a separate act furthering the agreement. So, a text message, a phone call, a PayPal financial transaction, right? That can be traced back to you, right? Effectively, what they're telling you is you cannot participate in this. You can't ask someone to participate in this. You can't induce somebody to participate in this. You can't convince other people to do it. So even if you're not there, you can't get them to do this because you're just asking them to break the law effectively, right? And they're going to punish you. They're absolutely going to punish you. And they should. And they should because, it states here very clearly, as I've been saying all along, it is a bad idea to engage in pay for play. And anybody that tells you to do it is sending you down the wrong path. I'm telling you the truth. If you don't believe me, go speak to a lawyer. Go speak to a lawyer and ask him about this. This is not legal advice. I'm just reading the words that are in front of me and analyzing them for their truth. And I found these words to be quite valid. And I'm troubled every time I hear somebody discuss pay for play. It is troubling, right? Because it's an indication not only that you've broken the law, but also that you've left a tremendous amount, a pile of evidence against you. How do you intend to survive this? That's really, really going to be the question of the future. How do you intend to survive pay for play? Because if they decide to come for you, that's it. That's it. You're done. You're finished, man. It's one thing if the women are calling you, desiring your time, you know what I mean? I just want to be with you, whatever. But as soon as there's a transaction or something of value, you're finished. You're absolutely finished. Soliciting and third-party offenses. Now listen to this. Someone who buys intimacy, who offers or agrees to buy intimacy, may be charged with soliciting of prostitution or of pay for play or similar offenses. Meanwhile, someone other than a pay for play provider or a customer could face charges for activities involving pay for play. Just imagine that. Like even if you're not there, you could be charged just as a third party. Right? Just by knowing, participating, engaging as a third party, you're going in. Two common examples of these charges are pay for play providers, right? Or proprietors, pay for play proprietors, and pandering, right? Proprieting may involve sharing the earnings of a provider or getting paid to facilitate the work of a provider. Right, so you're not actually doing anything yourself, you're just sharing the earnings, right, and facilitating, right? Third party engagement, you're going to jail, right? Pandering may involve procuring a person for provision or in encouraging, inducing, or persuading someone to go into the intimacy industry. Now imagine that. So pandering is what, quite frankly, many of you are doing. So you are procuring, you are buying, you are purchasing, you are the customer, right, to the provider. And you are encouraging. So by purchasing, and then giving a compliment, right? By giving a compliment, oh, what a great performance, or you're so special, right? That's encouraging, right? Inducing and persuading, that's convincing someone to go ahead and do this work or to stay in this industry. This is a vast definition of offenses. It just indicates that any type of engagement or interaction in this is deemed illegal. They want to catch you just for looking at them, just for looking them up. They're going to catch you. Really, that's what they're saying. The definitions of these crimes, I beg your pardon, vary by state, and some states use other terms for this conduct. So some states may use completely different terms. So they may use these ones and other colloquial terms to define this activity. But the definition itself is really what is key here, rather than like just the one statement or the one phrase, right? Just in the one word. It's what that word means that is the key here. The way they've defined these activities, it is quite frankly all encompassing. Right? It indicates any type of participation, first party, second party, and third party. Even the idea of it is punishable by law, right? Further third party crimes might include operating a provision business or renting a place to be used for provision. So just imagine that. So you can't even rent your place out to somebody who might be doing this. You cannot even receive rent from somebody who is using your place of business for this. Right? So in many lease agreements, they'll tell you that you can't use this place for this type of business. Right? You really cannot. You have to probably buy your own home or something. I don't know what you have to do. In truth, you just can't do it. It's illegal. So even if you buy your own place, it's illegal, right? So this is what we really want. The penalties for crimes involving pay for play provision. It says, provision itself is generally a misdemeanor, which makes it a relatively minor crime, right? This is misleading. And I'm going to demonstrate this to you as we go along, right? It is not a minor crime. What happens is the misdemeanor is just one of many things that they will attach to this. And I'll show you how quickly those attachments come and how quickly those years add up, right? But it says here are some of the examples of possible jail terms. Now, this means you're not working, right? It says California up to 6 months, Colorado up to 10 months, almost a year, Florida up to 60 days, right? So that's 2 months. That's almost 2 months. No matter how you look at this is bad. You want to lose 60 days of work for 5-minute interaction with a play-for-play provider? No, man. No. That's unacceptable. In 60 days, I think 60 days, that's the minimum. 60 days, that's the least you're getting. 60 days. The gentleman that was on the screen got 30 years, right? And I'm going to demonstrate that as we go along. This is the low end. This is what's going to happen to you on the low end. This is if you're doing it for the first time, you don't really know what you're doing. You just came out of a divorce. You want to try this out. It's taboo. I don't know what I was doing. I'm depressed. I'm lonely. I've been drinking too much. I don't know what people do after divorce. I lost my car. I lost my house. I'm undesirable to women. I'm blocked up. I have mental issues, financial issues, physical issues, and I came here to look for solace because I had nowhere else to go and I couldn't think of anything better to do. They'll give you a year in prison. Just think about that. Just no matter how bad the situation is in your life, breaking the law always makes it worse. Illinois, 1 year. Massachusetts, 1 year. Nevada, up to 6 months. New York, up to 3 months. And Texas, up to 180 days. I believe that's also around 6 months. 180 days is also around 6 months. So you're looking at around 6 months in general. Just imagine how 6 months of prison will ruin your life. Just take that into account. Just breathe that in. 6 months of prison. Like, I know you'll say, well, it depends on the crime. This is the crime. Pay for play is the crime. Right? You go in there for 5 minutes and you come out 6 months later. Minimum. Right? Or you go in there for 5 minutes and now you're in there for what? You're in prison for a year. Just think about that. Just think about that. Right? Just think of the consequences before you act. Keep the end in mind. I always say, keep the end in mind. And again, if you think they're not coming for you, you're wrong. You're wrong. You broke the law. It is in there. It is an incentive for them to come after you. Just the fact that you have to pay to keep your freedom, just the lawyer fees. Every time the lawyer sends an injunction or an appeal or whatever they say, they send in these courts a motion. That's the word I'm looking for. I don't even know what a motion actually is, and I hope I never find out. But if they do any motion, you gotta pay for those motions, man. For everything, every line, every sentence, every punctuation, every word, you pay for that. Right? So if you think it's not in their interest to come after you for this reason, it is. It is. They even have jail time. There's the jail time. There's the jail time for you. Why do they have this 6 months, 10 days, 60 days, up to 10 days in Colorado? Thank goodness I misread that one. Florida, 60 days. Illinois, 1 year. Massachusetts, 1 year. Nevada, 6 months. New York, 3 months. 90 days. Texas, 180 days. Why do they have these limits? Why do they have these time frames? For luck? No, because they know they're coming to catch you. And when they do, at least you know how long you can expect to go in for on the minimum. At least you can prepare yourself, right? You're going to need to have 6 months rent up front. You're going to need to have 6 months of those car payments up front. You're going to need to have 6 months of your child support up front. You're going to have all that electric bill so that when you come out, at least you got somewhere to go. Right? Because that's what 6 months. The last part of the first part says penalties may be different and potentially tougher for solicitation or third-party offenses involving provision, pay-for-play provision, right? So inducing somebody to join the industry or participate, right? If you are a pay-for-play proprietor, right? For that, you actually get worse time, right? Than if you just pay and then play and then go home, which is quite frankly, chances are you won't be going home. One day you'll pay, you'll play, and then you won't go home. For example, California imposes 3, 4, or 6 years in prison for pimping or pandering, right? Pandering, that's buying, right? So for the provider, she gets little or no time. But for you, the proprietor, And the panderer, I like that, the panderer. I'm going to call you guys panderers from now on. You pay for play panderers, right? You panderers are getting 3, 4, or 6 years in prison. Just think about that. Promoting play for play in New York carries up to 1 year of imprisonment. In Florida, solicitation, or renting a place for play carries up to 1 year in jail. Massachusetts imposes up to 2.5 years for solicitation and 2 years for keeping a house of ill fame. A house of ill fame. I like that. I like these words that they're using, right? This second part is actually the one that I really want because it has to do with the intimacy trafficking, the punishments for intimacy trafficking. And it's not us legal, it's actually US legal. That should be a capital. And you can find this on playforplay.uslegal.com. This is going to blow you away. Punishment for play for play varies from state to state. Play for play, solicitation, and agreeing to engage in an act of play for play are considered as misdemeanors in some jurisdictions, but in some jurisdictions they are considered more serious offenses. One who pays and one who receives fee or pecuniary benefit, pecuniary money, as consideration for an act of pay for play will be punished for the offense. So they're going to put you in jail. Different punishments are laid out in the state and federal statutes for different types of pay for play offenses, right? Let's jump right into there and read them. Now listen to this. According to 18 USC subsection 2421, the punishment for acknowledging, transporting, or attempting to transport any person in U.S. territory with intent to engage such person in play for play is a fine or imprisonment of not more than 10 years or both. 10 years. When you bring someone over, when they move from one town, one part of town, one area from another area, for the intention of play for play, they can give you 10 solid years. Now just think about that. We went from 6 months or a year, right, just from engaging locally to as soon as you move somebody over. All of you guys that are flying people out, all of you guys that she's driving from out of town, that's you guys. You are all going to jail for 10 years. All of you rappers, all of you influencers, all of you celebrities, all of you billionaires, if you have ever made somebody move from one place to another place for the act of intimacy, you are going to jail. You are going to jail. I am speaking here with authority. I don't care how much money you have. This is why that gentleman's tapes are such a serious problem. Because the people who are involved in these things are looking at prison for the rest of their lives. This is not a small thing. And I don't want to be talking about those tapes. I'm talking about you, Mr. Small Time, because up there, those people will finish me. I don't need those problems. You and me, I can deal with you. You're going to jail. You're absolutely going to jail. You're absolutely going to jail. You're a rapper, you're an influencer. Forget about it. They're going to deal with you in no time. 10 years, it says, just for moving somebody. Now, this may also mean moving yourself, right? Remember, I find the law to be very ambiguous. I find the law to be quite ambiguous. Every time I read these legal things, I always find that I can deduce more than one meaning from them. which is troubling for me because now I don't know from which angle they are coming at this. I cannot deduce right now whether it means you are moving the person themselves to come to you or you are moving yourself to go into that person. Now, this is really where I'm struggling, right? I would assume just don't do either. It continues to say, the punishment for knowingly persuading an individual to travel in any territory of the United States to engage in pay for play is fine or imprisoned for not more than 20 years or both. Just not more. They can give you up to 20 years, right? The punishment for knowingly persuading a person. So when you move the person, when you transport them or attempt to transport them, that's only 10 years. But when you persuade them and say, hey, why don't you move over there? And the counterpart does this all the time. They persuade their friends to engage in play for play. That is a 20-year situation that's just waiting for you. If your cousin, ladies, if your cousin, your sister was the first one to introduce you to play for play, she might be looking at 20 years. She might be looking at 20 years if you can prove that. Now just consider this. Just consider this the next time somebody's telling you how cool they are, how fantastic they are, how great their life is because they could just pay anytime they get it. That's out of the question. That payment, that's 20 years. That's 20 years. You might as well get married and have kids. Seriously. You might as well get married and have kids. It'll be much better for you. At least when you're married and have kids, you could still, go to the movies. At least you could do that. Let's continue. The statute also provides that if any individual persuaded or attempted to persuade, let me read this again. This is very important. I don't want to get this wrong. The statute also provides that if an individual persuaded or attempted to be persuaded is a minor who has not attained the age of 18 years, the offender will be punished with a fine and imprisonment of not less than 10 years or for life. I've been telling you from the beginning of legal and consenting age 21 and over. I don't care what the age of consent is in your country. I don't care. I don't care. It states here very clearly, if you get a person who is under 18 years old to come to you and engage in pay for play. Now, it's one thing if you're in love together. But as soon as you start to engage pay for play, that's it. That's a minimum of 10 years. You'll be out 2036, 2037. That's when we'll see you again of legal and consenting age. Gentlemen, 21 and over. The day you are 20 years old, you should not be dealing with anybody that says teen. You should be dating people that are 21 and over. I'll tell you a strategy that I employed in my youth. I always dated women that were older than me. And it wasn't a matter of preference or like. It was a matter of legality. I knew I could not get into trouble for this if she was a year or two older than me, which was fine at that time because why? We either had to be the exact same age, right? Or she would have to be slightly older. Now, when you're 18, 19, 20 years old, it's not a problem because you're dating 21, 22-year-olds. It's really not that big of a difference. The difference between a 20-year-old and a 22-year-old is really not that big of a difference, right? For most, they can't even tell the difference, right? This was a strategy that I employed, right? Until I got, quite frankly, to the point where I said, you know what? 21 and over, of legal and consenting age. Be considered a full adult, and I will deal with you with adult-related issues. But here it tells you very clearly if the person you're engaging with or persuading is a minor or not yet of 18 years old, so they cannot be selling, as well as they cannot sell at 18, you're getting 20, you're getting 10 years, not less than 10 years, right? This is the facts of life. The last part here says, the punishment for knowingly transporting an individual who has not yet attained the age of 18 years with intent to engage that person in payful play is fine and imprisoned for not less than 10 years for life. I think that's similar to what we've just read, right? Oh, the top one here is about persuasion. The second one here is to conclude that thought, the top part describes a situation where you are persuading or attempting to persuade a minor. The bottom part, the first sentence here at the bottom, is about knowingly transporting a person who is a minor to participate in playful play, which is illegal. And then finally, well, maybe not finally, I think it is the last sentence. It says, a person who travels in or into the U.S. or a citizen or a U.S. citizen or an alien admitted for permanent residence in the U.S. who travels for the purpose of engaging in any illicit, intimate conduct with another person shall be fined or imprisoned for not more than 30 years or both. Let me read that again so that when I analyze it, I cannot be misquoted or misunderstood. A person who travels in, so you must be inside the U.S. and you travel, or into, so you are outside the United States to move into the United States, or a U.S. citizen or an alien admitted for permanent residence, so you stay in the Americas, you are an American, right? In the United States, who travels, so you take yourself outside of your own hometown to go to another place, who travels for the purpose of engaging in any illicit, intimate conduct. You leave your hometown to go and pander, right, with another person. So you fly yourself out, right? Now they're telling you, this is what I said earlier, you can't fly. This is what I was saying was ambiguous earlier, right? Can you take yourself to go, instead of bringing someone, can you take yourself, right? Taking yourself has the worst punishment of all, ironically, right? So you travel to engage with another person shall be fined or imprisoned for not more than 30 years or both. So for taking yourself to go and pay for play, this is what I was telling you is the problem with these passport bros. You cannot leave where you are to go somewhere else to induce another person into this type of activity. That is the problem. They won't let you do it. You need to understand this. You need to accept this. I've been saying it ever since I came onto this platform, even before that. The winning move is not to play the game. Thinking that, oh, if I bring her, that's 10 years. Bringing her to you, that's 10 years. Taking yourself to her, that's 30 years. Because now they see what you're trying to do. And I see it too. And I remember saying, this is a little bit ambiguous with the law. Because I'm not sure if they mean you bringing her or you taking yourself. Now it's very clear that that law was you bringing the counterpart to you or the provider to you. But when you take yourself and you fly over there, my passport brother, you are going to be in prison for 30 years. For 30 years. Just think about that. You get more time in prison for taking yourself to go participate in illicit intimate activities than you do for being with a minor. Just think about that. For me, that's extreme. I don't need to hear any more than this in terms of this issue for play for play. I challenge anyone, and I mean absolutely anyone, to find a reason that supersedes this reason for you to participate in play for play. I said it is illegal, not only illegal, it appears to have the harshest punishment. You are looking at 30 years. You'll go from 6 months in prison, which will destroy your life, to the rest of your life in prison. If you are wondering why the gentleman in the picture received 30 years, it was because he didn't just bring other people, he took himself in order to engage in illegal activities all over the country. All over the country. And everyone who engaged in this type of behavior, you can be certain that should they decide to look into you and your history and they find something, they can do whatever they want with you. This is a terrible, terrible mistake. It is a terrible, terrible mistake. And I always say that the first thing we need to consider in all our interactions is the law. Is this interaction legal? And I always say when it comes to the counterpart of legal and consenting age, if you are in a legal gray area, just know that as a person who's not a legal expert, you're probably wrong. You didn't study the law. Why are you walking fine lines? Legal fine lines. Oh, maybe it's this, maybe it's that. 21 and over. That means you are on the right side of the law. And then there's no pay for play. No play for play. It is illegal. And the consequences of it are staggering. The consequences are just tremendous. It's not worth it. It is not worth it. I don't care who says what. If they're telling you that it's okay, they are inducing you to break the law. And you know they're wrong, man. You know they're wrong. You just don't have the confidence within you to say no. Let's do it together. Tell them no. Tell them you're not breaking the law. 30 years? You are risking 30 years, and mind you, you don't speak legalese, and neither do I. I speak ancient fluently. Give me an ancient text and I'll dice it up for you. But as for legalese, I don't speak no legalese. I don't even know what these words mean exactly. But I see these numbers. 10 years, 10 years, 20 years, and 30 years. Those numbers, I understand. And I don't want nothing to do with those numbers. And I don't want that for you. Right? And I'm giving you this information. I told you I'm not going to do you like these people. I'm not going to send you out there to go be with unscrupulous women. I mean, just the character of those people. Just to have that type of character and personality, that's not the kind of people you want to be dealing with. That I know. But if you're uncertain about how to move, the law is telling you don't go there. I have my own personal reasons for not doing play for play, because it just turns me off, man. I know you can't trust the counterpart because they're always up to no good, but I know at least when I see them here in front of me, the only nonsense they can do is on their phone, which is, a whole pile of nonsense all on its own. But to be sharing in these ways, at this extent, with this volume, it's grotesque. And me, it turns me off. It really turns me off. right? I mean, one just turns me off completely. But to know that the a counterpart can be bought and traded in this way, for me, it just turns me off. I don't have no moral issues about it. I could care less one way or the other. I really could care less. It just turns me off. You know what I mean? The my soldier doesn't salute. You know, my chickens don't. I don't know how to describe it. They don't. They don't rise in the morning. You know, there's no the rocket doesn't launch. You know, the ship doesn't sail. I don't know how to describe it. It just turns me off. Right? The engine is off. Right? It's not revving. It's not revving. No matter how much you pump that accelerator, it's just not revving, right? So that's really what it is for me. And maybe it's something in my mind I gotta get over. But now that I know the law is on my side, I'm not getting over nothing. I'm not gonna be swallowing that pride, right? I'm definitely gonna stay on the side where I'm still turned off. So if these people turn you on, that's your own prerogative, and I wish you well with that. However, what I will say though is you're breaking the law. That's the bottom line. That's really where I'm trying to get to this, And before I go, just get a vasectomy, man. I'm not gonna end a video without ever discussing a vasectomy. Instead of doing this nonsense, you should be getting a vasectomy, right? I'm not one for relationships and marriage and all that, but this, at least a relationship is legal. I mean, it's just as bad, to be fair. I mean, relationships are terrible. But if you get a vasectomy, maybe you can tamper to some extent some of the nauseating effects of these relationships. Not but not by much. But really not by much. You know, but pay for play is out of the question. Pay for play is completely out of the question. You need to just get a vasectomy and find another way. This is not it. You're going to jail. You're definitely going to jail, and somebody's got to tell you this. And it might as well be a faceless individual on the internet. But if you have different information, I'd love nothing more than to see it. And if that information isn't better than this, I don't want to hear nothing. I don't want to hear about no social effects of pay for play, how they save marriages. I could care less about saving your marriage, right? Just stay out of jail, you know? Just stay out of jail, man. What's 30 years? And a lot of these guys, they're flying out on business, and they charge it to business expenses. That's why they're doing that. They'll say, oh, I wasn't out of town for business, and that's the reason I was there. I wasn't there for the intimacy, because you're getting 30 years for that. Better for you to say I was there for business, and I met a girl at a bar and I didn't break the law. Yes, you did. They just can't prove it, right? But for you guys that's traveling out of town, thinking, oh, this is my chance, it is not your chance. You're going to jail. And just imagine flying out of town and never coming home again. Just imagine that. The next time you'll be home, 30 years. Nah, not worth it. Protect yourself, guys. Protect your seed. Get a vasectomy. Stay away from these providers. And stay away from people who tell you to go and buy this provision. The panderers. The panders and the benders. That's really what we need to be worried about. Man, the amount of people we need to be concerned about just keeps rising. Yesterday it was just these knee benders. And now we have the panderers. What can we do? We have to push on. This is the Ancient One. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention. I appreciate it, and I always will. Please protect yourself. Don't be a bender, and definitely don't be a panderer. And have a nice day.